Hey, Andre. Connecting. There he is.
Hey, Lisa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Good, good. How you doing today?
I'm good. I said I was on the beach and taking a little lunch break to chat with you.
Yeah,
So,
hey.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Good. I'll give you a little palm tree in the background. There you go.
All right. Nice.
So, your new film Dismissal Time. What inspired it? I know it's based on some true events, unfortunate true events. So, you want to tell everyone why you decided to write this story and or bring it to life in a film?
Well, to kind of give the condensed version of how it all kind of started. Um, Originally, we were supposed to do a completely different project together that kind of fell apart, and it was dealing with politics and, all kinds of good stuff that I wanted to really sink my teeth into. And, like for a long time, I knew I wanted to do a story that was dealing with like, an incident and the truth kind of getting swept under the rug and somebody that was willing to make a stand to find the truth. And what happened was over the summer, dealing with COVID and being locked down here in Delaware with my mom, we had the George Floyd murder and the protests that started as a result and the movement that occurred. And so all that was happening and the emotions that were rising all across the country, I was starting to feel that myself. And I had a lot of, these suppressed memories of being in high school, and particularly in my freshman year when I was in a Catholic school in Staten Island, New York. I went through an incident where I was accused of writing a kill list, all because of a girl that I liked. And so I thought it was a joke at first. I didn't believe it. And then the Columbine shooting happened. And the day after, I get called into the guidance counselor's office and they show me the list, and my name
Wow.
was on it. Students that I had classes with of who I wanted to kill, who I didn't want to kill. And I said, no, I didn't do this. I had nothing to do with this. I didn't even know anything about it. And
That's a,
so, yeah,
that's awful. Like, in some young kid's mind, they thought that was funny.
yeah, I
That's
was I was 15 years old when this happened. And up until this time, I never really dealt with a racial related incident except for like one occasion. But where I live in Staten Island, I live on the North Shore, so it's a very diverse area. But this school was like closer to the mall and, you know, a majority white population. So there was already, sometimes kids that would look at me and expect that I'm into hip hop or that it's okay to say the N word around me.
mm,
And those things were not okay. It's like that's not who I am personally.
right.
But what happened in this incident was that they called my parents into the school, told them that I did it without any proof, and then they're like, "Well, we're going to do an investigation. We'll talk to his teachers and see if he's too quiet and whatnot." And I was like an average student. I never really got into trouble there. And so what ended up happening was they decided, okay, he didn't do it. We're going to make an announcement to the school, tell everybody, to
Right.
exonerate me.
But
And it's,
I have a question though. During
yeah,
this time, like I can imagine being in high school. I hated high school. It was just not for me. I didn't feel comfortable in high school at all. I was really quiet. So during that time when all this was going on, where you were being falsely accused of something, were you still attending school every day and dealing with this?
yeah, I was still going to school. In fact, I was supposed to be doing a school play because I was part of the performing arts program at that time.
Um,
And the situation just messed me up so much, I couldn't even do it. Like, I didn't even want to show my face, but I still had to keep going. And it was just emotionally difficult for me to get through. And then what made it worse was when I'm expecting they're going to make this announcement, like they're calling all the kids into the auditorium, and I'm thinking, okay, they're going to say something. And instead, they announced the school dance is coming up. They don't say anything about this situation. They just kind of like sweep it under the rug. So that really screwed me up for a while. I had to go to a psychologist outside the school to
well,
convince me to get out of there and just go to a public school that was diverse and I could just not like stand out in any way, shape, or form.
right.
So I held this in for a long time. And then when everything happened over the summer, it just inspired me to start writing and just get this. story out there. And more than that, but having a teacher character that actually stands up for this kid who has like, a military background, law enforcement background, is like a combination of teachers that I had that really did care about me, that I admired,
Yeah.
who, like they probably didn't go that extent to protect me, but they knew like deep down I'm not that kid. So I wanted somebody like that to stand up for me.
That's the character I'll be playing, the history teacher Vance. That's who you're referring
Yes,
to. Yeah. I love
exactly.
that because I love standing out up for what's right. And as an advocate, that role is like right up my alley. I love it. Because bystanders, especially being a survivor of violent assault, I understand like bystanders are to me just as guilty. Like you need to speak out against something when you see something. You might not have to, put yourself in the middle of a situation that's dangerous, but still speak out and for what's right. So I can't wait to play the role of Vance. Is this a teacher that you've been in touch with through the years, or that you've reached out to let her know the impact that she had on your life in a positive way during such a horrible time?
Well, I would say that the teacher that you're based on, um, she actually had passed away back in
Sorry.
1998.
Okay.
And the reason why I picked that specific teacher to be based on, hold on, I'm getting like this echo in my ear.
Yeah, I'm trying to
I can hear
find
you fine.
in here to watch.
Um, yeah, so the teacher that the character is based on, she had passed away in 1998. She had a cancer situation, and the reason I picked her was because there's a scene in the script that we're going to shoot that actually did happen to me, where I was sitting at my seat and somebody put like cheese on my seat. I didn't see it, and I sit down and I get up and the thing's all over my pants. Kids are laughing, and I
Mm.
feel really embarrassed about it. And then I go off and I walk to another table and I sit by myself because, like I'm a young kid. I don't like
Yeah,
being laughed at for stupidness.
sure. High
And this
school.
particular teacher, who was very much she was kind of intimidating. Like she wasn't somebody that was like, that would hug you, but she kind of had like this demeanor about herself where everybody thought she was like really mean spirited and whatnot. But then every now and then she would show these shades of humanity. And I remember she like, she was in the room, and rather than saying anything to the kids, she just took her lunch and she just sat right across from me and we started eating. And we didn't even say anything to each other. It was like this little moment of
Oh,
somebody that actually was like trying to keep me comforted, but from a distance, in a
from a,
sense.
yeah.
But the character is also a combination of other teachers that I had. One who actually was a politician at one point and also had like a military background, fought in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And another teacher I had actually in college who was a civil rights professor and was like very powerful, very, very eloquent. And actually, another teacher I want to give a shout out to, if he's watching this, Vincent Campisi, who was my fifth grade teacher. And
Wow.
I remember it was like his first year when he taught my class. And he's still today one of my favorite teachers ever, because he was somebody that, like, when he taught history, he taught it in a way where he really got to like the human side of it and made it feel like important, not just something you read in a textbook, like, oh, just these dates happen and this event
Yeah.
happened here. Like, no, he made you feel like this had a real big impact in the country and changed the way history would become for the next
Wow.
couple of decades. So I
That,
want to have like those combination of teachers to create somebody that
yeah.
I felt like you could actually play because of your history, your background, and really stand out.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that you're taking pieces of teachers that had this impact in your life and you're creating this one character, and that's beautiful. And I think, high school, man, is so difficult. And this is perfect time that we're getting back to school and everything to really acknowledge our teachers, all over the globe. Teachers are they can have such an impact. Like you're going back to fifth grade and remembering the positive impact that teachers had on you, as well as remembering, this awful experience. And I'm so sorry you had to go through that, but I'm so happy that you wrote about it and you're going to make a film about it, because, it'll raise awareness, it's educational, and it gives others a chance to really like step inside your shoes for a moment to just experience how painful that was for you. You know, I just think back at high school, and I remember this one boy would make remarks to me as a woman, young lady, you know, about my body and like how uncomfortable that made me feel. I used to get a stomach ache. I was late to class. I would get a demerit every day. So, you know, the point is those years in high school, they're formative, and, you know, it really does form self-image, self-opinions, and also of others. And I'm just excited to be part of it. I'm so glad that you also cast some of my actors. Do you want to talk about the cast members that you brought on board, besides myself, of course?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a really amazing cast, and I'm really looking forward to working with. Troy Sill is going to play the principal in the film. You had recommended me to him after he did a play about Richard Nixon, which unfortunately I didn't get to see. I've just been so busy. I really wanted to check it out, but like just talking to him and having, you know, somebody like him who has the background working in public education, he totally understood the story. Like he's dealt with the situations like this. And on top of that, I mean, I also cast him on his look because he looks almost identical to the principal I actually had during that period. So I had to like get somebody, you know, somebody like him that really would stand out. We also have Kat Walsh. She's playing the vice principal in the film. We were also supposed to work together on this other project, but I'm glad like here we're going to work together. And she was really good too. I like in her audition the kind of concern that she had for the kid when she's like talking to you. But she also is somebody that her character is going to kind of fall in line with, you know, the rest of the administration when it comes to like the
Yeah.
politics and trying to protect the school's image ultimately. We
Yeah,
have
and
Sarah Dolhansky.
afraid that she might lose her own job, because that happens often. Like I said, when you're a bystander, you know, and you're looking out for your job and you're worried, but you know in your gut that you should do the right thing, and you don't. You go against that. But go ahead. And Sarah Dolhansky. Yep.
Yeah, Sarah was also another student of yours that you had recommended. And I remember it was actually when we first started talking about the project, you sent me like a self-tape reading that she did. It wasn't for this project, it was for something else. But the way she read her lines and just her look, I said, okay, this is a girl that's gonna cause the trouble. Like she would be the friend that would not like this kid,
Right.
and probably like again, I don't want to get into like spoilers of what happens here, but she
Right.
definitely has like a big hand in all that ends up going on.
Yeah, Sarah's a wonderful actor. She can play that troublemaker, that kind of the girl that you love to hate, but also she could play the very you know, innocent. And yeah, she will be a lot of fun to work with. What what do you expect? Like what do you want to evoke from your audience after someone watches this film about high school, about this whole experience that you went through? What do you want them to walk away with? You know, what?
I want them to walk away with a couple of things. You know, I feel especially now with social media and like how easy it is to get cyberbully over
Mm,
anything now, and just the culture as it is, like we have to be more sensitive with other people. It doesn't matter like what race you are or what your sexual preference is. Everybody has to be treated with a level of respect and humanity, and you got to be able to see people, you know, within their shoes, because I think sometimes we get too caught up in our corners in whatever shape or form, and sometimes we're not always meeting in the middle to understand each other, and that's something that I feel like this movie should be able to present. I think it also presents a situation of, you know, when you see something, say something. You know, there's a lot of injustices out there in our education system, in our societies, in our neighborhoods and communities. And, you know, when things happen, people don't speak up. When there's an injustice that goes
yeah.
on, they just kind of like go off to the side, or they're worried about their job security. And sometimes you got to go beyond that. Like you got to do what is right for your consciousness. And that's something that I feel Miss Vance tries to do in her
Mhm.
case, where she's basically risking her job for the sake of this kid. And also too that, you know,
we also have to be careful with the people that we look up to and listen to, because especially with the school administration like this that tries to promote inclusion and we're going to try to do the right thing, and sometimes it's just at the end of the day it's politics for them. They just want to say the right things to keep their image intact, and sometimes we have to hold, whether it's our elected officials, whether it's our principals or any person of authority, you got to
Accountable.
hold their feet to the fire no
Mhm.
matter what they believe in, because you can't trust everybody 100%. And that's something that also gets addressed here, is accountability and responsibility as well.
Absolutely. And I think that, films that have a strong message, of course they raise awareness and they're educational, but they're also very, I use the term entertaining, because not to mean any disrespect, but it could still be entertaining because as humans, we crave storytelling, we crave story. So there is a powerful story here, and it's very engaging. I'm really proud to be part of it. And I think that also, it's unbelievable sometimes when you see like the bad girl in the story, like how they think and how those ideas about others and the insensitivity, where does all this begin? I guess, it starts at home, how you're raised. And I just think
Definitely.
that having the character who is really will go to all extremes to hurt someone else or to twist the truth. It's important to have those characters in the story. And I can't wait to start filming with you. I'm so glad that you're shooting in PA and South Jersey area. I love that. We have some awesome locations, some really strong cast member, and you're writing and the human story there. And I think it's really brave of you, Andre, to share a story like that, because just like, in my world as a keynote speaker, speaking out against domestic violence or violence in any shape, I've met more people who always start off by saying, I never told anyone this, but, and they start to tell me something, or, something happened to me 40 years ago and I just never spoke of it until now. And there are so many of those stories that, people do push under the carpet, or they keep quiet and then they're just too painful to tell. And I think it's really brave of you to tell your story and to share this with us. And I just can't wait to start filming, get back, on set, get back to filming, because we've missed it so much.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been like anxious to get back on a set and, just doing what I love, but also, now having a different perspective about things in the past year, to be able to do something that I feel like will have some serious teeth and have a meaningful impact. And, of course, for people watching, we are going to do this safely. There's going to be,
Yeah.
all kinds of protections to keep everybody safe from COVID. So we are going to do this the right way for sure. And, also too, like for the long term, our plan is not just to end with just this short film, but, there's so much more to the story than what I was able to do in the script. And certainly I do see this potentially as a feature film down the line. It could even be a
Great.
series potentially. So we're not just going to do film festivals, and, we also plan to do private screenings as well in schools, because I definitely feel like the schools need to see this for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah,
But
that's a good idea. Hmm.
yeah, but I definitely see this as something that I will push to different streaming platforms, studios, to make this into a bigger thing. And certainly, again, to tell the full story, get more deeper into your character, the
Yeah.
parents of the kid, even with the other characters who come from more of a privileged background. What's it like to live in environments where, maybe the parents are not so sensitive to race related issues, and a school that's more driven by, like, if somebody gets into trouble, they're not going to get held accountable because their parents are good boosters to the school, so they don't want to, like,
Yeah.
ruin their chances of funding,
Can
so
you,
I want to tackle all that stuff.
can you see the comments that are coming up? Hey, Nan. Nan says agrees, would be wonderful for schools. Yeah, I think that's great. I wish we would have had more films like that raised awareness, that taught us a message through other people's stories. The time period too was very different, because uh, give us an idea of what the year was, that time frame.
So when my incident happened, it was 1999. So
Mhm.
again, the Columbine shooting had happened.
Oh, that's right.
You know, yeah, we
Mhm.
didn't have social media. You had AOL Instant Messenger. That was the thing back then, but
Right.
in the chat rooms. But still, like at
Mhm.
that time, there really wasn't like I think the toxicity wasn't the same as it is now, where
Yes.
people really start to rear their heads with a lot of ugly thoughts on the internet. One story, yeah,
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, Andre, and the importance of this, because some teens don't survive it like you did, and they take their own life because it becomes
right.
unbearable, and the emotional trauma that they go through by being bullied or cyberbullied or put in a position where they have to all of a sudden defend their innocence like you had to, and they wind up taking their life. So I'm, that is, I think, one of the really important messages, that to show that there's a support out there, and to hopefully diminish the numbers of teen suicide, or suicide during these high school years.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this film was as I was researching and when I was preparing the pitch video, I was coming across a number of articles of similar stories that are happening now to my situation. And the one that stood out for me was a young boy named Nigel Shelby, who was a student in Alabama who happened to be part of the LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the character in the script, he was cyberbullied for who he loved and what he believed in, and he ended up taking his own life as a result. And when I read about this, it really hit me hard, but it hit me harder
Right.
to know that the kids responsible for the bullying were not held to account, and it took the parents to have to step in and take action. And it shouldn't be that way. The
I
school
know.
should do something about this instead of just not letting this happen. And I want to push back on some criticisms of like say, well, the guidance counselor would have done something, they would have brought in the police. In my situation, that none of that happened. They just
Right.
tried to hold it internally. They didn't even go to the dean when this happened. And I had a
Wow.
good relationship with the dean of my school. So when this went down, they kind of kept everything in. And I could have
Mhm.
gone to the press and I didn't. Instead, I just said, no, I don't want to be here anymore. It's
Right.
not good for my health, for my sanity. So this is still happening. It's
Yeah,
not
Sheila
just,
McDonald said
everywhere.
that
It's real.
is so timely. Sheila McDonald, you cast her as a faculty member or a teacher, I think, in your film. Sheila
Yeah,
McDonald.
Sheila is going to be one of the faculty members that's pretty
Okay.
much within the administration. And, we cast a number of people that look like the kind of teachers that I would have had as a kid who, have been there a long time or used to the system. And, some of them are just there for the paycheck and some of them are there because they have tenure, and so there's going to be all these different types of people that are just used to that environment.
I'm just looking to see if Sarah Dolhansky is on here at
My
all.
dad's on. Hello.
Your dad's on?
Yeah, I just saw him pop in.
Oh, good. Hi, Dad. Oh, I remember your father picking me up with Robert Clohessy. We took the Staten Island ferry
Yeah.
over to Staten Island. I never knew that New York actually had something that was free. The Staten Island ferry was free. I was like walking around like an idiot asking the cops, where do I buy my ticket? It was, but Robert and I took the other Sarah. We took the ferry over to the first day of filming on your film Priceless, and your dad picked us up. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. You have such a strong support in your family. When it comes to, he's saying hi guys. When it
Yeah.
comes to
Hey, Sarah.
yeah, your filmmaking, and I just think your dad. That's really admirable. For your parents to be so supportive and your father to always be there for you, because not all parents are. My father was a contractor. He was into construction work, and I think he just didn't understand, like, what do you really want to do? You want to be an actress, but what do you really want to do? And to have a parent that supports you in your dreams. Let's see if we can get Sarah
Yeah.
here to chat. Sarah, how do I do this? Give me a request, Sarah. Make it easy for me. I don't see how to add her on. I think she has to request it.
Yeah, you should have to request it or do like I did, just write a comment.
Okay. Come on. Where are you? She's there. She's there. How do I add her on?
Hmm.
I don't know. Request.
Yeah, it says something about tap at the bottom of the live video and tap send request.
I don't see it. Ha ha ha. Let me see. Is that her? I think that's her. She's saying hey. So the summer's wrapping up. We're just in time. You're filming something that is so relevant, so timely. And we have also Rancocas Valley Regional High School in South Jersey. The theater professor, the theater teacher there, Michael Pliskin, he's been extremely supportive.
Yes.
And Donna Armando, a guidance counselor there at the school, put me in touch with the theater teacher. They've been very responsive and very supportive. They want to see this film happen, and you'll get a chance to cast some of their students. And where is Sarah? I'm not sure how to get in, she's saying. Let me try to add it.
Okay.
There she is. Oh, I think that was on me. Wait, allow viewers to request. Yeah, you have to request, Sarah. Come on. Sarah, there you go.
Yeah.
Now I gotcha.
Oh.
I hit that. So hopefully she'll pop on here. I answered your request. She's saying I'm not sure how to get in. Approve. There's already a guest. I guess we can only do 2. Is that how you do it? I'm going to jump off and I'm going to let Sarah jump in with you.
Okay.
Okay, because she's part of your cast and I'm sure she wants to chat about the role she's playing. So,
Sure.
Andre, I can't wait to film. I'm really looking forward to it. And if anyone wants to be part of it, reach out to, you can reach out to me, lisa@lisaregina.com. And we'll also put up a link because in the spirit of independent filmmaking, of course, we can't do it without supporters. So I'll put up a link if anyone feels passionate about this subject matter and about if they have teens or they just care about this subject matter, you can make a donation. Fractured Atlas is a wonderful organization that provides insurance for filmmakers and provides support. And Fractured Atlas is the link that we're putting up because they are providing Andre with a nonprofit way of funding this, raising money and funding. They have a 501c3 set up, or they have an organization for independent filmmakers.
Yes, it's fully tax deductible.
Right. So that's awesome. It's a great cause, and I'll put that link up on my page as well. And I'm sure Sarah, Sheila, and all your cast members will share it. And I have so much respect for you, Andre. You're not only a friend, but a long time, colleague, and we've been in touch all these years. And I'm glad that I'm getting a chance to work with you. And thanks for trusting me with your project and being part of it.
Yes, thank you for being part of it, Lisa. I'm really looking forward to working with you on it.
Okay, Sarah, send another request. I wonder though, if I finish this, it's gonna stop the live feed. So how do I get her on here without me being?
Might,
I just thought of. You probably have to start the live video on your Facebook in order for it to continue, I bet. I thought we were able to add more people. I can't.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought too. I mean, unless we were like on Zoom.
Yeah, we'll have to do a Zoom and get the entire cast on. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, I would love to. That would be great.
Yeah. Let's set up a date prior to shooting in October where we can do that.
Okay, cool.
Sarah, we see you there. All right, Andre, thanks again. I'm excited about filming. Can't wait to be part of dismissal time.
Yes. All
Okay.
right, take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, hey, what's going on, guys? This is actually part two of our little live video about dismissal time. So, in case you missed the one with Lisa Regina and I, you could go and check that out now. I have that posted as we speak. So, I'm actually going to try to jump on right now with one of our other actresses in the film. Her name is Sarah Dolhansky, and she was set to go and play the role of Chantel in the film. So bring her on. Okay. And here as we speak. Oh, and it says. Here we go. Okay, I guess it's loading now. All right, hold on, Sarah. I'm getting to you. Approve.
Hello.
Hello, Sarah. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. You can hear me well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you probably saw a bit of the interview I did with Lisa to talk about the film. And again, like I'm really happy to have you on board with it, playing the role of Chantel in the film. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your involvement with the project.
Yeah. So I've been studying with Lisa for about 6 or 7 years now, and she had told me about Andre and some of his projects, and just really how you write and how you direct, and that really stuck with me. So yeah, I just actually moved to Rhode Island, but I've been trying to act these past couple of years. So this was a really great opportunity, especially with COVID and everything. This is the first film I'll be working on, and last thing I shot was in December-ish. So I'm super excited. I'm also excited just because this project is something that's super relevant, especially in my high school and in a lot of high schools like 2019, 2020, there was a lot of racial tensions. So I saw a lot of what unfolds in this film unfold in real life around me, and sort of trying to navigate that, educate yourself, all of that. So this film is super special to me in that regard, that super honored to be able to bring this to light, even if I'm playing sort of the main vehicle of conflict, but happy to do so. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be working with you. As I was telling Lisa, like the first time I saw your, it wasn't really an audition tape, but you had done a reading for her class.
Right.
And I remember just watching it and like looking at your expressions, the way you read it. It was kind of a mean girl type role that you were reading. And I said, okay, this is what I picture for this role. Like this is the kind of girls that I had to contend with in high school who,
Yeah.
like just didn't like me for whatever reason, no matter what it was that I did.
Yeah.
And as I was kind of like talking to you about the part and the expectations for it, I said basically, you're like Matt Damon in the movie School Ties. Like you're
Yes.
the one that's kind of like the troublemaker, and then when everything kind of goes wrong, you're the one that's going to start pointing fingers at the wrong kid. So that's totally like what I see your character doing here, and it's interesting the way it kind of twists and turns there. Do you feel like you've encountered those type of personalities when you were in high school?
Definitely. I kind of had an interesting situation in high school because I went to a trade school, so I went for acting. So I sort of was able to keep within, I don't want to say my own community, but it was a lot of like-minded individuals. So I didn't necessarily run into, quote unquote mean girls, or bullies necessarily, because it was just a lot more segregated. But, you know, there still were those instances of conniving people who, especially even within the acting classes, with roles and whatnot, that people were just conniving and mean spirited. So I would say I have had instances with people like that. And then also my high school also had issues with race. We had a lot of issues in 2019 where people actually protested, and we had a whole pep rally with our administration and everything. So I also have seen that too. So this is very true to life, very real, very relatable.
Yeah, most definitely. And I feel like a lot of the actors that we have, Oliver Feaster and Isaiah
Mhm.
Faircloth, like the guys that are going to be playing the other roles, especially Oliver in particular, who's playing virtually me, as a
Mhm.
kid.
Yeah.
Like everybody has had those type of situations happen to them or bear witness to. And so like just what I love is having those conversations with you and the other actors, knowing that I'm not alone in this. Like
Right.
everybody's related to this situation in some way, shape, or form. And, they understand the importance of telling this story, no matter how small of a conversation it engages in with the conversation we're having right now in the country, that they know it's going to have a serious impact and that
Definitely.
it's going to be taken very seriously. So, that's what I always expect from the actors I work with is that they can look back 10 years from now and say, I gave 100% on it. And
Yeah.
did my best to tell the story with a great deal of honesty and truth, which is what I
Mhm.
really admire about a lot of actors.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I agree. It's so important to make whatever role it is applicable to your life. And in this instance, the character who I'm playing is sort of evil, but it's important to humanize them. See, the character I'm playing is extremely insecure. She's ignorant. She's naive. She's sort of a product of her environment. And we see that so many times. I'm not validating any of what she does, but to kind of humanize it, there's a lot that needs to happen in community and environment in educating people who are this naive and ignorant to the point where they don't even see what they're doing is wrong. They kind of just think it's not really affecting anyone, or if it is, it doesn't really affect them. So, you know, as an actor, this sort of role is super challenging but super rewarding at the same time, to sort of get into the mind of someone like that, and also to educate yourself throughout it too. um, Super important.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to sugarcoat anything with this film,
Yeah.
like just from the acting standpoint and behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's easy to turn this into like a Lifetime movie or
Right.
like some after school special, but that's not the approach we're doing here. Like for me, this is going to have the feel of like a 70s drama, like something that like Martin Scorsese or Sidney Lumet would be doing.
Yeah.
It's very character driven, that's driven
Mhm.
by behavior, relationships, and just the honest to God truth of what goes on in these places. And as
Yeah.
I mentioned to Lisa, like with the situation that I went through in high school,
Right.
it wasn't something that like got into the media or
Hmm.
authority figures were brought in. It was pretty much contained and then swept under the rug like it never happened because they didn't
Right.
want the stain of bad publicity. And so this is the type of movie that's going to try to expose all that, to bring the darkness to the light. And
Right.
certainly for the performances, that's what we're going to be trying to get at here. And so, one thing I also want to talk to you too, since you've had Lisa as a teacher, and also I've studied with her as well.
Right.
After I did my first film, I did private classes with her, and I would always credit her for making me a better actor and also
Definitely.
to be a better communicator with actors as a filmmaker. So, tell me like what you've gained from your experience as a student
Yeah.
of Lisa's.
Yeah, well, with Lisa, she's amazing because one, she's a huge mentor in my life. Even when I like moved to the city and everything, she was so influential in all of that. She's obviously an awesome acting coach. She's taught me virtually everything I know about acting. But even above all that, she is an advocate for justice. And I think that's what really sets her apart. And it makes her an advocate for actors. It just makes that even stronger. And of course, her background, military, with, you know, all the projects that she's doing, A Right to Heal, all of that, it just makes her such a strong person to really look up to in the acting community, because above all else, acting is human nature. It's about human connection, and it's about, you know, it's real. It should be real. It should be, you know, a reflection of what's going on. So I think she's really in tune with that, and she's just awesome for keeping you grounded and teaching you and nurturing you. She's really awesome for all of that. So it's also a perfect role for her as Vance, the teacher, because again, I think they're a lot alike in a lot of ways. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, you know, like when I was writing it, I knew for a while I wanted to do a project that had a strong female lead, because a lot of my stuff has been very male driven, just from like my own perspective.
Right.
But you know, of all the actresses I've ever worked with, and there's some amazing, you know, actresses that I've had the pleasure of working with behind the scenes and also as an actor. But if I had to write anything for anybody, it would definitely be her. And this part in particular, with the life experiences that she's had, being an advocate with her Right to Heal nonprofit, and just somebody that's willing to take a stand for injustice and, you know, the need for tolerance and respect in our communities. She's the total embodiment of that. And certainly that's the thing that I think is going to make this film powerful, is not just her performance, but the real life experiences that she brings to it that absolutely gives it a gravity that I think will make it above and beyond like anything that we could picture. So that's why I'm really excited to be working with her on this, and for the students that she's bringing on board, like yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's always challenging you to go to that next level. So even just being on set and being around, you know, other actors, you really are as good as the people around you. So having that sort of positive reinforcement, she's going to be amazing to work with on set. I'm super excited. I've never worked with her together, like as actors together. She's always been in a coach setting. So it'll be really, really cool to be working with her on this project. I'm so excited. And a lot of the other actors I've worked with in class but never worked with on a project, so it's going to be super exciting to be able to do that.
Yeah, there's one scene in there that kind of brings everything home that I really cannot wait to shoot between the two of you. I think it's going to have some serious intensity. Do you have any other thoughts before we start wrapping it up?
No, I'm just super excited. I'm excited to be back in, you know, Philly and South Jersey and filming, you know, on the old stomping grounds. So I'm super excited. Yeah, I just can't wait.
All right, great. So, you know, for everybody that's watching, if you want to follow any updates about the film, go to the new Facebook page we started for Dismissal Time. I believe it's at AJ Epic's Dismissal Time. And we're still trying to raise money for the movie. Even though, like, we're pretty much covered with most of what we need, things snowball because of unpredictable things such as food, insurance, getting additional props at the last minute, costumes, and just keeping everybody safe from COVID as we film. So if you can, please donate to our fiscal sponsor, Fractured Atlas. The link will be posted here and also on the Facebook page. And even if you can't donate, just share the link. It's as simple as just going on Twitter or Facebook and just spreading the word, get the message out there, because this is an important story that I think everybody needs to see. And I'd love to be able to play this in schools and really get this thing out there. So yeah, check us out. We start shooting October 4th in South Jersey and Philly. We're also still looking for additional student actors to play the students in the movie. So, you know, contact Lisa if you're interested, and we'll get that set up. And that's basically about it. So, Sarah, thank you again for taking the time for coming on here. I'm really excited to be working with you on this. And we're going to start rehearsals next week. So we're really going to get into it for sure. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank
you
so much, Sarah.
Bye.
All right. Take care.